Will people not working for AI-powered companies be fired? Should they be afraid of losing their jobs? So we started the year at Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and we have continued to research over the year in the biggest trends right now. And today is our first episode, and we are going to talk about
AI, obviously.
AI is everywhere.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, AI is everywhere.
So our guest of today is Christofer Falkman, AI strategist. Welcome to the podcast, Christofer.
Thank you, Kai, and thank you, Kim, and thank you. Hello. Good to be here.
And who are you, Christofer?
Yeah, short story about me. I'm an AI strategy lead at Stendahls in the Nordics here within the IO group. Day to day, I try to facilitate work in relationship to AI and what problems it solves and what types of value it can generate. Do a lot of work with our clients and our teams. My background is not within machine learning. I'm from a design perspective, and I think that's a good thing, basically, because it's a lot of rapid developments, and it's a lot of questions about what types of problems do we actually solve with generative AI, and I kind of enjoy using this technologies to do just that, to solve real problems. So I'm Christofer AI strategy lead, actually, is my official title.
But what does AI strategy mean?
Yeah, what does it even mean? I think it's this. I kind of joke about it also. It will probably be like the same as webmaster. Like you had the role webmaster a couple of years ago, and now you laugh at it. So I guess people will be laughing at the title, but I don't care, because it's basically just saying that it's someone that leads the field of AI, because someone needs to do that. And now someone needs to have a strategic approach to AI and what problems it solves and what we do in short term and long term, and that's why it's the title. I think it's kind of important, but it doesn't really matter actually. But yeah, so that's basically it.
So what do you find the most thrilling about AI?
What I find the most thrilling? Well, I think again going back to my design background, I was kind of not one of those aesthetic and artist designer, like designing shoes and stuff. I was more like always been like using design to solve problems for users and for businesses, and that's why I kind of the greatest thing about AI for me is that it's such a fantastic problem solver when it comes to both new types of user journeys and automation and kind of stuff that you would have struggled with solving before, and especially since the new types of language model got really good, you could really lean into it, solve a lot of more problems. So that's the most fantastic thing I think I would say about AI or my relation to it.
Are you afraid of AI?
Am I afraid of AI? No. I mean, I think as with everything, you should have a piece of skepticism. But I mean, you can't be afraid of stuff. You should understand and learn limits and risks and stuff. But I'm not afraid of AI. If it's not like Terminator AI, then I'm a bit afraid, I guess. But no, I'm not afraid of AI.
Okay, that sounds good.
So you and me, Kai, we went to Las Vegas and we went to CES. And one of the biggest trends that we kind of took as being part of it was AI is everywhere. Is that something you would conclude as well? Like, will AI be a part of everything in the future? Or are we there now?
I think, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, AI is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's kind of already here, whether you know it or not. We had, I mean, AI is not something new. We had a lot of smart machine learning stuff happening a long time. The thing that's been happening in the last couple of years is just kind of a rapid development within a certain type of field of AI. But I mean, if you look at like adoption in regards to maybe then generative AI, we're still very low on that curve. So in that perspective, no, AI is not everywhere, but it is everywhere, but it's not being adopted by everyone, basically.
Yeah, but because we were kind of discussing it, me and Kai as well, like when we talk about industries, and obviously we are working in the digital industry, so we are part of it. We do services with it, we work with it, but there are a lot of other types of industries. Like let's say you're a plumber. Will a worksman plumber ever be, close to AI or yeah?
I think that's a really spot-on observation. I mean, I think we discussed like is the AI honeymoon over? And as you say, I mean, I have a brother he's a really smart guy. I don't tell him I told him that, but he's a metal sheet worker living up north. I mean, for him, he's not even on the first date. There's no honeymoon in sight. Maybe he have seen like seen ChatGPT in the queue to the cafeteria, but I mean, he doesn't care about it because it's not solving any real problems for him. Yeah. So I think it's kind of important aspect to understand that we are like white middle class tech nerds living in this developed country. And so I think that is really an important thing to think about always when you try to figure out how to utilize AI and generative AI.
Yeah.
So no, it's not relevant for everyone, and it might be relevant for my brother at some point, not today.
And this, and I was listening to this podcast with Adam Grant when he was interviewing the CEO of Airbnb, and he quote, "It's going to take longer time than we think, but the change will be bigger than we can imagine." So if you consider this and see this in like a 5-10 years period, would you think it would cover everyone? I mean, the plumber.
Yeah, I kind of agree to that idea. I think it's kind of like, with the Gutenberg press, that was kind of revolutionary at the time. Of course, it's one of the biggest inventions of all time. I mean, first we had a lot of mediocrity. You had a lot of shitty stuff happening in regards to disinformation and like really bad stuff. But then you got into the phase where it really changed the whole society in a positive way, the democratization and etc. And I think AI will be that type of similar enabler, like really democratizing things, technology, making it more accessible. And I think, and again, making it more accessible is also a key word. I think that accessibility and that type of utilization will be definitely a part of everyone's life at some point.
But I mean, what happens now if big tech basically controls all the major generative AI tools, for instance? Isn't that instead a risk of de-democratization?
I mean, you have companies like Meta, and you have these. You probably heard about the LinkedIn thing you talked about earlier before, which is a great study in how not to be.
Please, can you just tell us about that one?
Kim, please.
Yeah. So me and Christofer had this discussion earlier today. It's all over the news that LinkedIn has trained on users' data. Apparently not UK and European users, but the rest of the world is affected by this. And obviously that's a concern that anybody's data would be scoured by the AIs and used for who knows what.
Without consent.
Without consent, yeah. They apparently they have added some kind of opt-out feature. So users will be able to opt out, but not from the previous data they already contributed with. It's just going to be all the new data. And that's, the discussion is not good in regards to what companies should be able to do and stuff like that. But we're already in this situation. They've already done it. So I guess there's no going back in terms of what they already have. But it is a concern in relation to other bigger companies affecting even more people, I'd say. So yeah, it's that is scary.
And also, I was listening to Peter Thiel, and he had a theory talking about blockchain is democratization because nobody can control it, while AI is going to be the opposite. It's going to be centralized and controlled by a few actors.
Yeah, if you look at the proprietary models, like in the major players there, like then we have Meta, we have OpenAI, we have Google, and we have Anthropic, etc. Yes, they have most resources, etc. But then you have the open source scene, if you can call it that. They're lagging somewhat, but not. They're really catching up, and that is, in my point. Some open source model is basically owned by Meta, and the most powerful one, I think, is the new Llama model. I think, but there is still this type of culture within the open source community, as you know, that will try to counteract that. I think that, but then the open source model is not that available as just using ChatGPT or making an API call to OpenAI, but still.
But at the same time, in all other tech services, you have open office and you have alternatives to food shop and stuff like that, but they are not really breaking through because everyone is leaning towards the corporate world, meaning that the corporate world can incorporate their agendas.
Of course, and you have biased models and all the thing that comes with it, and so that's a really, really interesting topic. But I haven't actually seen. We've seen a lot of bad examples of big players doing bad stuff with data, which is unethically not great. So hopefully we will see bigger companies with a more altruistic take on it. I think Meta is still at least trying to position themselves towards more of that, like making their source AI model open source, even if it's like maybe not totally open source. But data, again, commodity, a lot of money, a lot of that type of incitament. So
But isn't it quite funny then that we have one of the biggest players is called OpenAI?
Yeah.
And they are not really that open, right?
No.
They're very closed and
super closed.
AI.
But I do think that's not fun, but that's an interesting thing in general. I also looked at some of the Chinese AI where they don't have the same type of copyright infringement things in place. So basically you could take any character, you can do whatever you want with it. They are not as strict. And what's your point of view like on this whole topic from somebody who's more
I think people need to feel that they can trust things they interact with. And I think a lot of AI today is not really trustworthy, both in regards to what you get out of it, and also what you put into it. Will my data be used? So if you're kind of at least semi-aware of that, I don't think you will be feeling totally confident in the trust side. On the trust side, and therefore you might limit yourself. And we all felt that when trying to. We're really, really strict in the way that we handle our data at Stendahls and our clients' data, of course. So, for us, it's not just about trust. We need to understand and we need to feel security, data security, of course. But for common people, I would guess that most people kind of lack trust because it's kind of a black box. You don't understand what happens to my data, how did they come to this conclusion, like the reasoning behind it, And and there's things you can do to mitigate and to increase trust in regards to this.
And what we found out in CES in Las Vegas is that trust and transparency is one of the biggest topics here. Not least to say topic about digital health and healthcare powered by AI, where it's needed because you're leaving very sensitive data to other actors. So how could we ensure trust and transparency? How can we ensure people of...
Yeah, I think there's two ways there. I think we of course need good legislation. I think the EU AI Act is actually a very good thing. So that's one thing. The other thing is when handling, like, I mean, if you want to be totally confident and feel secure about your data, then you will probably be better off doing stuff with an open source model and doing it locally on your computer, which I do because I'm not entirely confident in like pushing up really personal details, and I mean I'd store personal stuff in iCloud and whatever, but when it comes to certain things, I prefer to keep it like locally on my machine. So, but that's that's an advanced use case.
That's very advanced use case. I mean, you do things by yourself, but consider this case, you are a medical company based in Mölndal at GoCo, and you are now incorporating AI solutions into your products. I mean, how can you ensure the customer can feel safe about it?
You're describing what you're describing is a high risk service according to the AI Act within the EU, and then you will have to really think twice, because I mean, we have experiences working with these type of clients, and we also know the importance of like in regards to medical devices and the classification, and medical advice from an AI is really scary territory. So I mean, there's up to a point that you will need to be really smart in regards to hosting where you host your AI solutions, in regards to compliance, in regards to what type of model is running. Maybe you will train your own model, which is super expensive, but then you at least control what type of data it should handle. And I mean, there's already a lot of machine learning things going on within research and science and within medical field, and there's really fantastic like breakthroughs in regards to AI and medtech. But that's a really high risk thing, depending on what type of application you build. But
some companies are famous to at least being more towards integrity than others. For instance, Apple, who are quite tough in these questions. For instance, they didn't want to open up their iPhones to the FBI after the terrorists. But also Microsoft are very corporate and B2B oriented, and also trying to make sure companies own data and stuff, things like that. Do you think these companies would have an advantage in creating trust, or would others follow, or would there be a spectra, or would there be legislations even in the US? What do you think would be?
Like if I were end consumer in this case, I think most people will not sit down and read terms of service. They will like, all right, I trust Apple with my most personal thing, with the SMS messages I wouldn't even show my wife and whatever. So I trust them, and that's just a feeling that you have, and you kind of. So I guess it's and that in conjunction with legislation. I know that GDPR is a thing, probably. I know that they can't handle my data in the way they want, which they could before. So living in the European Union, I feel pretty confident, at least today. I would if I were, but I mean, yeah. And I had some hours also studying the AI Act, so I kind of at least know something also about what it regulates and so on.
But this is an interesting topic. So talking about the European AI Legislation Act, and there is there's been some discussions about this act is actually holding back the development in European Union, and we have fairly bad track record. We almost have no major AI services, commercial AI services. I think it's only like Mistral. So the research and development in Europe is actually quite slow at the moment compared to the US. And there are argues that these legalizations even slowing it down even more. Would you challenge this view, this opinion?
No, I think it's. I think they've actually done a pretty good job. Are their European politicians? I rarely say that, but I mean, in regards to the pace of the development in this field, they have managed to pull through legislation at some sort. And again, yes, I mean, you have a US, which I mean, if you have the risk and innovation scale weighing against each other, I mean, AI is a kind of risky field today, and you have US, which is really like putting a lot of stuff on the risk side, and not that much on innovation side. So they're more like, as they've always done, like they use this type of thing as a commodity, like also in regard to data, and I mean, they have their type of legislation in data and security, etc., but not as strict as in Europe. So yeah, even if the developments is probably being slowed down, I don't think that it's a good idea to just because then you have a lot of going back into like the reasoning from Tegmark and all these people that is talking about the risk with AI and the heavy it's being driven on profit and on trying to get the most business out of it, and you don't care about risks probably that much then, and then you as an end consumer will end up in the middle, not in a great place. So I think even if it limit research or at least maybe not research but external applications within the EU, I think it's still a good thing.
And what would be the disadvantage for Europe?
I mean, the pace of progress, the adaptation.
Which one, pace of progress? Like people's adaptation on the tools or new behaviors?
I mean,
other technologies that suffer from not having possibility to utilize from AI, or the AI development by itself?
It's kind of interconnected. But I mean, we see this with Apple not being able to deploy their thing here in Europe because of this fact.
Will it come to Europe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And they will probably find there might be limitations to it, etc., but it will probably end up here at some point.
But are we like the big players we have been talking about? They are all Americans, right? Or most of them.
Yeah.
Is Europe falling behind in this whole sector of tech?
Yes. And I think the biggest problem is that we don't own the infrastructure, basically, because that is something that is being developed outside of the European Union. Like, as you say, OpenAI and the bigger companies are building the infrastructure in their proprietary models and ease of access, etc. We have Mistral. Was mixed those up, a French company, but they're very minor, and there might be others, I don't know. But I think that's the major risk. It's like not owning the roads. Someone else has owned them, and then they can just do whatever they want with it. So that's the biggest risk.
What could Europe do to keep up the pace in the development? Not only in major like AI services, but also services connected to AI.
A really high-level question, Kai. I don't think. I mean, still in the innovation and risk scale here, you can't lean too much into just managing risks. You have to open up to have some innovation. But I think where it really, really matters is in regards to like end consumers and protecting their rights and not commoditizing their their data and their inputs and their like whole like thing that they put into the models. But I don't have a good answer to that, guy. Sorry.
No, it's a difficult one, I guess.
Yeah.
How could Europe solve this problem?
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
But it's a fun kind of segue into another area of AI, and that's not the back end, but the energy consumption it uses. And so if we're talking about being smarter, it requires more energy to be able to process the data and information in general. Like, what's your there's so many discussions on building ginormous data centers, and obviously the big players again are doing it, and it seems like that is also where, in terms of who's going to be the biggest, who's going to own whatever in the future, that's also like it accounts for something if you have the biggest processing machine available.
I think people need to understand the cost of this thing. And also to understand that if you ask ChatGPT to generate a fun story about a cat in a hat, it will use the same amount of computational power it would have done if you ask it to like solve a really complex problem. So, and that is a really like a downside of this current versions of the language models. But it's a high energy cost, and so I mean, we are paying for it as a society because it's using resources. So and again, going back to this Moore law, whatever it's called, when it's kind of the more computer put that stuff, it could scale like to a certain degree. So big companies are throwing a lot of compute, and that means a lot of energy towards this thing. And so if you ask me, I would like to see a really like try to research more energy efficient ways of inference, for example. And inference is the way that today it's GPUs that does a lot of inference stuff in regards to generative AI. That's why NVIDIA skyrocketed. We have done a lot of stuff there and have the most powerful types of GPUs. But there are actually like contenders. We have Grok with a Q, not the Elon Musk Grok thing. It's not. It's another Grok, which is really. I think that is a really interesting. It's kind of a new. Type of chip, I think, which does inference in another way, and it's very fast and it's more energy efficient that way.
Cool.
But I think also there are costs, and we need to really like we tend to look at scale when we're building an AI-driven solution. We look at scale in the cost of money, but maybe we should start to consider more aspects that is cost of energy and cost of ethics and cost of whatever.
But still, I mean, they're probably becoming more faster and faster and more energy consuming. The more we trying to squeeze the energy consumption with smarter processing models and stuff like that. So it's going to be very costly and expensive in the future in regards of power, right?
Yeah.
So who is going to pay for it?
We and our kids and the planet is paying for it.
And will it follow the typical route that it will be we sell our data or
if you ask
our
me,
souls?
I hope that they will do like they've done before with like carbon oxide, what's it called? The English word for it. When you buy kind of a right to output a certain amount of. That you kind of start to look at this from this, because it's not an infinite resource. And I mean, me writing funny stories about cats in hats, I mean, that's not feasible. And there's a lot of really useless and pointless use of generative AI. And we need to figure out just how to, I think major companies that like profit from these things need to pay for it in a greater extent.
Meaning that they need to get profit to cover the costs.
Yeah, and I think I'm not even sure if OpenAI is in profit or I mean it's such an insanely expensive thing to to generate. It costs a lot. I read that Microsoft went. I think the headline was Microsoft goes nuclear. Sounded really funny.
Investing in nuclear.
Yeah, they're investing in Harrisburg.
Exactly. So they bought into like this US nuclear thing. So to be able to
3 Mile Island. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do we think like at what level will there be political influences in regards to this? Like let's say internet back in the day, where we put in cables in the ground and we kind of made it available on a political level. Will we see the same type of stuff happening in terms of AI as well? Like where
I think that was a fantastic time, if you ask me.
Yeah, the 90s.
yeah, the 90s. Yeah, and me being like really the heart is on the left. If you know what I mean. I think that type of political initiative to also making sure that the everyone get to be able to gain from technology and making sure that it's not just only for the few, but for the many. I think that is something that our politicians can make happen. And
just to elaborate on that one, in the 90s, with the home computer revolution and the broadband revolution, where governments really invested a lot into this for everyday
why
people.
Sweden has been historically very successful in regards to digitalization and innovation.
Because that was my biggest impression when we came back from CES in Las Vegas, is that at CES, okay, it's a tech convent, so of course everybody is very, very into this, but everyone had panic in their eyes in regards of, we need to be first, we need to move so fast because the evolution is so fast. It was completely panic everywhere. And then when we came back to Sweden and met with, leaders of big companies and technologists and topic leaders, and everyone was relaxed. Wait and see. A bit like the Swedish way, wait and see see how things evolve. And I didn't see this political revolution of home AI to everyone.
No.
Do you think we're losing this game, or is it just a hype?
I think it's an interesting take, but I mean, it's like you have. I think many many lived through the whole the IT boom time era, and kind of understood the downsides of rushing too fast. Also, I think we're seeing this also a bit today, where we have maybe a bit less. What do you say? A little bit more pragmatic and mature approach to new technology, which I think is actually a good thing. But the downside is that, we still have companies 20 years after the digitalization kind of era started that hasn't gotten that far on that journey. And sadly, a lot of bigger Swedish companies that is not innovating that well. So, there needs to be a good balance, and I think Sweden has the entrepreneurship and has the maturity in regards to this type of technology to be ahead. But maybe we need a political push here to make AI available to more people, especially if we get more energy efficient AI, and we get if we're solving more types of problem than just some few.
But you told me last week that you will not lose your job to an AI, you will lose your job to a company utilizing AI, right?
I might have told you that, yes.
So does it mean that if you will people not working for AI-powered companies be fired? Should they be afraid of losing their jobs?
We humans are very good at adopting to new technology, we kind of shift and move together with bigger leaps in technology. When we have industrial revolution, we get on the tractor and we drive it to make sure that it will plow the fields in a more efficient way. I'm still a part of this puzzle, and I think this is the same case. But you still need to be you need to have an interest and your own responsibility to understand what it means to you and for your specific types of tasks. And there will be bad companies that will try to make sure that they make just money and don't care about the people. Then you have companies that are more altruistic and will try to, I read a study from Microsoft, which is kind of pointed on, like, all right, what does generative AI means for me as a developer, and what type of metrics are we looking at? And they had a metric that was happiness. And I found that really, like, I can remove tasks that doesn't make me happy, and I can do more tasks that makes me more happy. And I found that very reassuring. I'm not saying all companies will have that metric in their their kind of plan, but and then you will have these AI first companies, which is basically sprung out of with like, okay, we have a small like startup, and we will do. Parts of our offering, or maybe a major part of our offering, is just AI driven, totally AI driven. We don't hire a copyright. We will just make sure that we craft this thing that can generate great type of copy, which is not possible if you ask me. My wife is a copywriter, so she will tell you the same. No, but you get the point. You have this AI first, and we've seen some of those, and maybe those will have fewer employees and fewer, but. Yeah. But I think you will need to be you need to understand what it means to you, to your role. But I think I'm more into the metric with happiness that I talked about earlier. Like, try to figure out stuff that you how you can augment yourself in a professional context, and try to remove the stuff that you find that doesn't make you happy.
I think. The artist will.i.am, who is actually more into tech startups right now, working a lot with tech startups aside of his career. It's quite funny when you do Super Bowl, and that's just something you do in your free time.
Yeah.
But he's totally into it, and he's working a lot with AI. And he said that today it really gives you 3 great benefits. And one is what you mentioned: augment your skills. The second one is to save time, automate and offload. And the third one is perspective broadening. So basically, you can create things that you couldn't before. For instance, when they did this test, creating business ideas, so they put a human to a computer, and both tried to create business ideas. And the computer and the AI outperformed the human in lots of cases. So these 3 are very kind of clear benefits you can get out of it. And I think most of what we can do today sorts under these 3 in one way or another, as it is of today. Okay, so let's say we are having a large company, a large enterprise. And we understand how important it is, but it's an old company. One thing we learned from CES in Las Vegas is that just in 1 year after basically the launch of the ChatGPT, lots of real solutions, real products, AI-powered products were there. Both soft products and also hard products powered by AI different ways. And we were very amazed. It was, how did they made this possible within 1 year? But every single one of them told us how they did it, and that was through strategic partnerships in 2 ways. Either the big tech companies. If you are a big global company, you can easily get in touch with Meta or Google and get a tech team there and work close together. Or startups acquiring or basically acquiring external
collaborating
startups.
Or any type of
Is it? if I'm leading a large Swedish enterprise, would it be possible to do this myself without creating these strategic partnerships?
Yeah, I guess it would, but it would require. I mean, that's the whole thing here. Is kind of there's a whole lot of new and exciting possibility, but also a whole lot of new risks and a whole lot of new aspects you need to consider. And like doing this for 2 years at least, designing and being a part of like developing AI-driven solutions, you kind of quickly understand that you kind of need to do things right from the start, and you need to mitigate the whole a lot of these aspects that you know will be a blocker at some point. I think that would be the biggest benefit in a strategic partnership, because there's it's a totally like it's not a new field, but it's a lot of new aspects, especially if you're a bit out of your comfort zone. If you're adding a totally new type of aspect to your current service, then it could be, it's not just software development. You have the whole AI pipeline layer, and you want machine learning competences, and you need to understand these types of different aspects. So it's possibly, of course, doable. And I kind of understand why bigger enterprises hire AI leads and AI whatever, because they're buying into like that knowledge to get that like shortcut into like more production ready stuff, and not just only POCs.
But I guess that's also like why the companies we listen to, they also saw it like a shortcut. So it would go faster to market, basically. So if you have a startup that's been working on something for 1, 2, 3 years, and then you have an idea, or you have the data, or you have whatever, the means of making it a service, then collaborating with this startup would make it go extremely much faster than trying to add people who needs to be, start working with your.
But there are, I mean, you can add people, you can hire the most skilled AI people in the world, but still you have a large company that you need to get along, and you have decision processes with usually have a certain speed or slowness. And then you have budgeting process, internal budgeting. So when you do things by yourself, you have to motivate it in a certain way. So things usually take time. If you go strategic partnerships, you can basically utilize not only on the persons, but also on the processes and innovation speed and agile process.
I mean, that's as everything that we do at Stendahls.
Yeah.
I mean, we're selling processes, and we're selling like experience, and we're selling a team that could like go in and solve something. It's the same with AI. It's just some other types of some aspects you need to understand.
Yeah, we kind of touched upon the honeymoon being over, etc.
Yeah.
And the AI winter is possibly here. If you want to go the dark road down. But in regards to this as well, like going in line more with the Rabbit R1, for example, and the AI pin, etc., where you had been startups who relied on other companies as well. There were, most of them were collaborations as well, where they ended up not being, let's say, satisfactory to what
to say the least,
to what users were expecting, and they were also overhyped, as in they were sold and told to the public that this will solve this and that and whatever, but the end product obviously didn't. Now, what's your opinion on this? Like, how much should you rush? How much should you? I guess we kind of touched upon it before as well, but are we there yet? Like, is it for those type of interfaces?
No, I think we're still in the. Like early days,
yeah.
Of course. I think it's fantastic that you have as an entrepreneur has the guts to just put it out there. As long as you don't like fool people, and oversell it.
Didn't they do that?
I guess at some capacity, but
that was the marketing department.
Yes, blame it on the market. No, I mean, I think the examples you gave, which was the rabbit and the, what was it called? The
AI pen.
Yeah, I think it was an innovative product, but where it kind of falls a bit flat as of today. I mean, I still have kind of hope for the Rabbit R1 when they get more features in place, is the UX or the user, the way you interact with the product, which was kind of bad, and latency and all that jazz that you kind of that you were really hyped about voice UI a couple of years back, and then we started to use it, and we understood that, oh my God, I hate Siri. I can't stand talking to Siri or Google Assistant or wherever. And now, as a side note, now we kind of are in a good territory in voice UI. It works marvelous.
But yeah, sorry.
It needs to mature. And I think we will see in 2-3 years' time, we will see a new Rabbit, which is fantastic, which will be proactive, and it will solve your day-to-day task. It will fix your grocery list, and it will whatever.
Yeah, but why would you need a Rabbit when you have your iPhone? Or
exactly, that's what I wanted to get at. Yeah.
That's a valid point.
So with Apple Intelligence, as we also talked about before, we trust Apple, right?
We're talking about niche products.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the thing that sold it for me was that teenage engineering design, basically. So, and of course, it being a bit cool tech and so on. But no, I mean, most will have that in their... there will probably come a device that will take the phone as we know it out of action at some point. I'm not sure if it's something similar to the Rabbit or that pin stuff, but these companies should be celebrated for trying and maybe failing, but just stop overhyping. Then I'm happy.
But what do you think? Because we obviously we know that Apple Intelligence is coming. We know that same for Google. Obviously, we're going to see integrations towards phones and cars and whatnot. I mean, all our digital interfaces we're looking at is going to be smart and have assistants that will help us throughout our daily lives, and they will be very personalized for us. What's that going to change for us? Do you think, if any?
Again, my main philosophy with all things tech and design is to solve problems and make my happy metric higher as an end user. And I think we spend a lot of time doing stupid stuff as humans and doing repetitive tasks, doing writing stuff we don't need to write or whatever. And at some point we will have a really good robotic stuff that can do also more labor stuff for people doing that type of work. So my hope is that this tech will alleviate some of that boring stuff, so we can spend time being human and having a high happy metric score. So I'm totally sure about that we will end up because and we will have also solved because if you look at, and I will go into a design rant now if that's okay. Sure. I mean, this whole thing, this is a new first paradigm, I think, in 60 years in regards to user interaction, which is intent-oriented interactions, meaning I ask it something or I tell it something, and it will go and do that stuff and return back with the output. Give me a cute cat with a hat image, thank you. And it will come back with a cute image of a cat in a hat. A lot of cats with hats, but we can't have enough AI cats, I think. No, but so in the old days, I would have opened Photoshop and I would take that photo of a cat that I took of the neighbor's cat, and I will montage a funny hat on it, and I will send it to my friend and say, haha. But what I mean with that is I only tell it my intent, and then it gives me something in return. So that's something new. And we humans are so incredibly bad at describing what we want. And that I think that is one major blocker to adaptation, because it's really hard to say what I want, and also to provide the correct context for if I want to have you perform a task for me. I mean, we work together, I know you very well, but it's still hard. It's hard to explain what I want in detail, and no, maybe I want it this way, and it's. But I think if we can solve that thing, which I hope a lot of UX people is working on solving, making great UX for these type of technologies. ChatGPT is horrible UX, if you ask me. But if you can solve that, then we will also have an increase in adoption. So that was my design rant. What was the question?
No, but I want more design rants.
Okay, more design rants.
No, but the question is, I mean, okay, we're talking about prompting here, right? Because ChatGPT is text-based, so you need to write lots of text in order to make the ChatGPT to understand your purpose
that's
and give you your result back.
That's the main input today, is done by prompting or basically telling the thing what you want.
And everybody's talking about is a superpower to be a great prompter. Because if the better prompt you can be, the more efficient, the faster prompt you can be, the more prompts you can do per time unit.
I think that is that kind of need is success going down a bit over time, because the models are getting more smart in like really understanding intent. So you don't have to, like back in the days, you would really have to write a very specific prompt in a very specific format using very specific words. It's still type of it's kind of that like that, but you need to understand kind of the recipe of the thing you're trying to achieve. You need to understand what if you want to make a good tomato soup, you need to have these things in there. Yep. Prompt engineering is relevant and will be for some time until some smart person solves the intent.
But they are getting better and better, right? With painting, for example. When
of course, and also Midjourney and similar services.
And they're trying out new stuff as well.
Yeah. So but it's still like prompting something.
Yeah.
With
Did
words.
you see? I saw this new thing. Where you select an object from a video, and then you could just drag whatever motion you wanted that object to do. Yeah. So let's say you selected a cat, and then you draw like an S figure. Then it's going to generate the cat jumping in an S shape. Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting
cool
way of.
That's humans. I mean, that's why we have. Okay, another design rant. Mm-hmm. We're humans are really good at pointing and stuff. That's the main type of interaction we have today, either on your phone or on the web using a computer, using your mouse. So it's a really good, actually good UX pattern. You point at stuff and you click it, and that was the thing. Yes, click. So I really like that. That is kind of an not innovation, but it's kind of making it easier to explain what I want. I just do a little drawing, and in the context, it knows that I would probably want the cat to move that way. I think that's Runway, some new feature at Runway. Good stuff. That's more of that type of that's a UX designer that's done a good job, or some smart people at Runway.
But there's a balance between creating interfaces or leaving them so open so you can really create stuff if you are skilled enough to create stuff.
Yeah, but again, It's not really accessible. It's the blank canvas thing where it's really hard to start describing.
But they're conversational. I mean, for instance, if you're creating, let's talk about now pictures or images. Yeah. And if you're using ChatGPT with DALL-E, you can basically have your discussion. You can talk with the ChatGPT for half an hour and get to the bottom of how you should create this.
Yeah,
and then you're creating the image, and then it should be, in theory, better than if you're just making a prompt or just drawing something.
Yeah, but it's still really, really shit the UX. Sorry, pardon the French.
Okay.
It's really bad, and it's really, again, going back to expensive. You've sat now for half an hour and gotten a little cat in a hat. It's not. I mean, you should be able to get there from the start. I mean, iterative stuff using language models and natural language. Yeah, it's great, but it depends on the use case. Most of the times, I think there are really big opportunities. If I were a UX designer full time, I would spend a lot of time researching this.
And I do think that most generative AI services available now are rapidly increasing their tooling and how you can make these images that you dream up in a much faster and more efficient way. Like Crea, for example, which is a tool where you can use already existing images and you can just stack them on top of each other to build whatever image you want. That is much faster than describing the cat with this color and this stripes, blah, 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 with this type of hat, red, orange, with a feather. If you just add a hat with a feather and the Garfield cat you want orange with black stripes, then it will do that for you. And you can select styling and you can do whatever you want. So I guess it's, and like all of these different areas where you can make use of AI in a really good way, it's gonna get easier. And I think generative AI has the luxury of having a lot of designers in there from the beginning, and I think that's why maybe it's going faster than other sectors. Let's say Excel or data sheets in general. Perhaps
I think Excel is the perfect product. It doesn't need anything.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. So that's a shitty UI, isn't it?
No, it's fantastic. I love Excel. But I think I actually saw an interesting YouTube video yesterday from. I actually like the YouTube algorithm. Sometimes it throws something in there with like 3 views. Yeah. But on a topic that you're kind of interested in, I really think that is a good call by YouTube or Google, but never mind. I saw this video about this guy. He was a filmmaker, done his own hobby projects. We all like without budgets, and now we were trying to get the budget for his next project. These passionate people that trying to create their art, but they don't have the financial means to really fulfill their ideas. And he had a long discussion about, and he actually used the runway ML thing you just described, which is video generating AI tool. But what he used was video to video, meaning he wanted to make a Western flick about this cool Western dude with a short film. And he couldn't afford to get the sets, the props, and the actors, and the blah, 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 blah. But he basically just filmed himself, like wearing this, like a carpet from the floor, and maybe some kind of ugly hat, and this toy gun. And he just made cool cowboy moves. And then he used Runway ML, which is video generating. And then he put the video as input, and then he smart prompting and negative prompting got this really impressive looking Western, about this, the dusty desert and the sunset and the scorched earth and like this. And he kind of had this really ambivalent way of thinking about this, because, I think it was, and this might be wrong, but I think it was Paramount or some of these bigger.
Lionsgate.
Exactly, who invested heavily, not invested, but have given permission for using all of their material in
20,000 titles.
Yeah, 20,000 titles to Runway to train their models. And he was really, this guy, the small indie filmmaker, was really, really ambivalent, because he understands that this thing will put prop makers, the people on sets and the blah 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 out of business, but at the same time it's democratizing and it's making him being able to express his art. And I think this is such a hard topic, because it's true, and it's again going back to what we do and going back to like, since these type of technology is lowering the bar, it's the Gutenberg thing. It will make it available for people to print their books. and they can print whatever, and the old scribes, like the monks sitting and writing stuff, they will be out of job. So I think this is I think that was really interesting on this topic in regards to like, and he was kind of also exciting because now it's like, I'm going to build papier-mâché sets and everything because it still uses, like, if you have a plant in the corner of the shot, it will take that plant, it will look like a Western plant, I don't know. But it's so it's really a double-sided sword.
But isn't it kind of the same as when, like, let's say Photoshop came, or digital art was a possibility all of a sudden for normal people as well? So there was a lot of backlash and a lot of critiques, obviously, because people doing normal paintings and drawings were outraged because here's the new digital software where you can do whatever you want. You can erase it. You can Control Z just to go back in history, stuff that's impossible in real life. Sure, things changed. I mean, people drawing backgrounds in movies, for example, before could now do it much faster within their computers, and I guess this is just the next step of that. It's going to go even faster. So, but we still kind of care about the craftsmanship. We still it's not like drawing is out. Nobody's drawing anymore. No. It's still part of our world. Same with woodworking, for example. You now have machines that can do all kinds of stuff. You have 3D printers. You have CNC machines that can do whatever you want to. But it's still like a handcrafted chair, table. It's still worth a lot of money for somebody who likes that thing, and I guess that's still gonna be part of it, filmmaking, whatever. And that's kind of an interesting topic as well, like knowing if it is done by AI or not. I think you and me talked a tiny bit about being able to detect AI, and what do you think? Is there going to be like countermeasurings to AI and to real? Like, how would you know what's real and not real?
Yeah, of course. Of course, there will be countermeasures. There will be people. It's like me. Almost once a week, I consider buying this Nokia old like dumb phone just because. Just because I hate my phone and it's always making noise and I feel I sound like an old grumpy man, but it's the truth. And the same with technology. Yeah, there will be like I don't know, tech purist that doesn't think. No, we just we hate non-deterministic things. We don't want to have anything to do with that, and we only want like. Human created scenography because that's filmmaking for me. Yeah. So I guess there will just be more.
But if you take away you as a purist or niche interests, would the rest of the content in the future be fake?
I don't. A lot of content will be fake, and I'm not sure that.
I mean, one example: why would people want to have less cool profile pictures? Everyone wants to have the cool profile pictures, so everyone is faking it.
Then profile pictures, cool profile picture won't be a thing.
No, of course,
because everyone has cool profile. I don't think the general public don't care. I don't think they basically. At some point, they care about a certain type of content. But for me, as an example, we're doing in this podcast thing, and I've been early days. I tried a lot of generating podcasts and generating based on topics I find interesting, and I plugged it in my ear. I went to walk, and I was like, "This is so uninspiring. This is not for me." Podcast is hopefully something that the people listening to this, like fly on the wall, you're listening to people, and over time you build a relationship to that person or those persons. And in this case, it was just rambling information. There are certain types of media that people care about, and other type. If I was just wanted to have information brought to me. In a podcast format, then yeah, I do that sometimes now. I input stuff into ChatGPT, and then I go on a lunch walk and I tell it just to explain to me everything I just posted before I went out. and it will have a long rant about
But
whatever.
it's so hard. I mean, it's so uncanny.
Yeah, but it's still functional. You will get the information, but I don't care if it's. I don't care if I read it or if it's someone reads it to me or the way I consume it. But I really care about my friends, in quotes, that I want to have in my ear during my lunch walk because I listen to them every day. So there I care. If I would find out that my favorite history podcaster is an AI, I would probably stop listening to it. That's so I care about some types of content, other content. I don't care if it's AI generated or if it's not.
You touched upon something that I found interesting as well in regards to content being generated and anything could be fake or whatever. And we do have like an epidemic today with social media in terms of people, photoshopping themselves to look good or whatever it might be. And then this thing comes out, and anybody has Apple Intelligence in their phone. They can change any image into anything, and so anything can be fake. And you said for like profile pictures, right? So people will not care about profile pictures because if anybody can have a cool profile picture, then it's not worth anything. I wonder if that is going to be real for the rest of social media in general and the imagery because we have been doing it for many, many years now, putting images out there, and those are like a way of I can tell you who I am by posting my images from my trips
like
or
wearing,
my skiing or whatever.
It's like wearing that Metallica shirt in the 7th grade.
Yeah, exactly. But
It's
now
just,
you could be anything, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
You could be skiing with your Metallica t-shirt in
space.
In space, yeah, exactly. And so I'm just wondering what that's going to do with people from a psychological perspective. I guess none of us here are...
Self-confidence.
Yeah, self-confidence. But really, is if everybody is doing it?
Maybe best case scenario,
yeah.
It will reduce the importance, and it will make...
Exactly.
It will be more playful. If all the kids... Today, instead of like posing with that cool jacket and can't buy, they are skiing in space with Metallica t-shirts. It becomes more of a play than an actual real thing that is a threat to you.
So it doesn't mean anything.
No,
and
exactly.
What means anything would still be the core values, the actual stuff.
I think that's the best case now.
Yeah.
The worst case, it emphasizes that
we're in a bad place.
Yeah. So.
All right, so before we wrap up and go back to our ChatGPTs and create cats with hats, thank you, Christofer. What are you looking forward to now in the upcoming weeks in regards of AI?
In regards to making more cats with hats? No, I kind of... I'm looking forward to increasing my understanding of building great data sets. Really... That sounds like a fun and exciting topic, right? Because I find that really interesting, and I keep on doing that from day to day, trying to like put on, we discussed this earlier also, like putting on that investigative journalist hat and asking yourself the correct types of question. What is the really important pieces of information that needs to be there for it to mean something? And that has kind of also put me in a position to more critically consider stuff around me when I have that hat on. So I look forward to building a more high quality data sets that I can use from day to day, and make funny hats with
cats.
Funny cats with hats.
That's great. And what do you take with you from this episode today?
I think it was a fun experience talking to you guys. We talk all day, but have it on tape. Fun
That's
stuff.
good. Tries to raise the bar.
Yeah.
So Kim, what did you learn today?
Oh, a lot, obviously. I think I'm going to need some time to process this 1.5 hour as of right now. But yeah, I think from my perspective as a designer, I still need to look into more of the tooling and how we work with it and how we can integrate those things within design as well.
Cool. And what I learned today is to be more optimistic on the European legislations. I was more worried, but I feel more confident now. It might be quite good after all. And I also learned that the honeymoon is not over. We are continuing, but slow and steady, to a future where everything will change. So that's my learning from today. So thank you very much, Christofer. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Yeah, you kind of normally are.
Yeah, to be in this space.